The voting for all regular season awards will be over before the season restarts on July 30th. Now, that means that no player will be able to make a last-minute push for any of the respective awards like MVP or Rookie of the Year. So, not on the board right now at Caesars, but right before the season paused in March, Giannis was the overwhelming favorite to win his second consecutive MVP at minus 800, excuse me. LeBron came in 5-1, but will not get those extra 8 games to potentially close that gap. You see him there at plus 500. Let's welcome in Brian Windhorst and Kendrick Perkins to talk about this little MVP tete-a-tete. Brian, I want to start with you. Who do you think should be the MVP?
Yeah, Giannis Antetokounmpo has had one of the greatest statistical seasons we've seen in the modern era. Don't waste your money on the 5-1. Giannis is going to win the award. There's a chance that Giannis could win both MVP and Defensive Player of the Year. He's absolutely been spectacular. You look at his numbers, the raw data is absolutely impressive when you look at his efficiency and his scoring. You think about what he does defensively for one of the greatest defenses we've seen in the regular season in at least 10 or 15 years. And you think about that he's actually played only a little over 30 minutes a game because they were protecting his minutes. A masterful season, and he's gonna get my vote, and he's gonna also be a back-to-back MVP.
He certainly is having an incredible season. So then I guess I have to ask you, Big Perk, would you waste your money on the 5-1 for LeBron?
Yeah, I would. Listen, I don't understand. LeBron, right before the pandemic, he was on Giannis' heels like a pair of socks. So I don't understand how it's just a landslide to me. And where's this same energy when LeBron was in the Eastern Conference and we was talking about it was a weak Eastern Conference? Here it is now. The Lakers haven't made the playoffs since 2013. That was 7 years ago. And now they're in the playoffs at the #1 spot with LeBron James finally in his career's average in a 20-10 season, 25 points, almost 11 assists, and 8 rebounds. And by the way, I don't just feel that way. Some of his co-workers who he play against feel that way. Dame Dollar said it during the pandemic. What LeBron doing right now is very, very special, despite being 35 in year 17. And yes, I hear all this about Giannis and what his defensive numbers is, but guess what? He have another person on his team, and Brook Lopez, who have about the same defensive numbers across the board. So with that being said, I'm looking at the body of work that LeBron James is doing in a tough Western Conference, right? A tough Western Conference that everyone talk about, and he's sitting at the #1 spot and playing beautiful basketball. So to me, it's not a landslide, not at all.
Windy, and I want to come to you this, Windy, real quick, just for a couple seconds. It's always this age-old discussion, the numbers versus the team impact when you talk about a valuable player. Is there an argument to be made that LeBron has had a bigger impact on the team being where it is?
You know, you could make a lot of different arguments, especially LeBron playing point guard this year. In my opinion, it's his best defensive season in 6 or 7 years. But finishing second in the MVP, which LeBron has done a number of times, is a real compliment. Saying you're had the second best season out of 450 players is a real compliment. And the other thing is, this isn't a question of who the best player is. I think most people would agree LeBron's the best player. It's a question of really who has the best season, and that's Giannis. There have been years where there have been players who've had incredible seasons and lost the MVP to LeBron. Now it's on the other foot.
Yeah, and you know what? You cannot fault Giannis if he wins this one because he really has had an incredible season. Now, guys, Brian, you talked about it. The idea that LeBron doesn't always win it when he should. I want to just show everybody this. He's won the award 4 times in a 5-year span from 2009 to 2013, but he hasn't won it since. LeBron has finished second or third an additional 6 times in his career. So, Big Perk, I want to go right to you. How many MVPs should LeBron have won?
He should have about 8. He got robbed because he was in a weak Eastern Conference. Listen, every time LeBron James left the Cleveland Cavaliers, they went straight to the lottery. So with that being said, LeBron changes the franchise. So he should have about 8. He got robbed about 3 or 4 times. And I want to go back to Wendy's point, was that when you look at the Los Angeles Lakers this year, when LeBron James is off the court, they rank 28th in the league offensively. When he's on on the court, they rank second, which balance out to them ranking about 6 or 7 in the league. But that's a huge drop-off, and that shows the value to his team. And we could even go back to 2005, 2006, when Steve Nash won it, averaging 18 and 10 for the Phoenix Suns, and he had a better supporting cast. But you look at Kobe Bryant, who had the best year of his career, averaging 35 points on the Lakers roster. If you go and look at that roster when Shaq left, was pretty horrible, by the way, and he carried them and had them in the 7th seed. So to me, it's whatever you prefer, but my opinion is the MVP is take that person off that team, and what would that team be? If I take Giannis off the Bucks, guess what? The Bucks are still in the playoff hunt. If I take LeBron off the Lakers, I don't know what the Lakers would be.
All right, guys, I got to leave it there, but it is a difficult discussion when you talk about who should get that MVP. Feels like both of them should get it, really. Guys, thank you.